In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro delves into a range of topics, starting with President Joe Biden's recent trip to Normandy on the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Shapiro critiques Biden's attempt to emulate Ronald Reagan, who delivered a memorable speech at Normandy during the 40th anniversary of D-Day. However, Shapiro argues that Biden's appearance was overshadowed by moments of apparent confusion and disorientation, including an instance where Biden seemed unsure whether to sit down on a chair. Shapiro uses these incidents to question Biden's cognitive abilities, citing reports from the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times that suggest the president, at 81 years old, is no longer fully functional. He predicts that Biden may face health issues before the next election. Shapiro also discusses the Democratic Party's strategy to divert attention from Biden's perceived shortcomings by intensifying their rhetoric against Donald Trump and his supporters. He criticizes Hillary Clinton for comparing voting against Trump to storming the beaches of Normandy, calling it an insult to the heroism of D-Day veterans. Additionally, he takes issue with MSNBC's Nicole Wallace, who suggested that Trump supporters need to be fixed. The podcast then shifts to the sentencing of Steve Bannon for contempt of Congress. Shapiro calls the sentencing an absurdity and part of a broader pattern of Democrats using law enforcement to target their political opponents. He contrasts Bannon's jail sentence with the lack of consequences for Obama-era officials who defied congressional subpoenas, suggesting a double standard in the application of justice. Shapiro also questions Biden's claim that he will not pardon his son, Hunter Biden, if he faces legal trouble. He highlights reports that Joe Biden has not met his 5-year-old granddaughter, suggesting that Biden's love for his family is selective. He predicts that Hunter Biden will likely get a hung jury in his trial due to the Biden-dominated jurisdiction. The discussion then moves to the Biden administration's handling of immigration issues, particularly the recent border restrictions and crackdown on asylum seekers. Shapiro points out the hypocrisy of Biden's policies and the backlash from progressive groups who feel betrayed by his actions. He emphasizes the need for a strong stance on immigration and criticizes Biden for failing to address the root causes of the crisis at the border. Shapiro also delves into the Biden administration's foreign policy, particularly its approach to the conflict between Israel and Hamas. He criticizes the administration's lack of understanding of the moral components of the conflict and its misguided attempts to broker a ceasefire. He argues that the administration is incompetent in dealing with the situation and is putting undue pressure on Israel to accept a proposal that is not in its best interests. The podcast also covers a recent report from the International Criminal Court accusing the Israeli Prime Minister of crimes against humanity for fighting a defensive war against Hamas. Shapiro criticizes the report and the involvement of Amal Clooney, wife of actor George Clooney, in co-authoring it. He discusses the White House's response to the report and the influence of celebrities in shaping policy decisions. Throughout the episode, Shapiro maintains a critical tone towards the Biden administration, highlighting what he sees as its failures in both domestic and foreign policy. He argues that Biden's age and cognitive decline are significant issues that impact his ability to govern effectively. He also suggests that the Democratic Party's focus on attacking Trump and his supporters is a strategy to distract from Biden's shortcomings.